Hey everybody, First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad. And it's about 8:41 when I'm recording this. I am not going to do a late evening update, and I probably will not see an update from me from the 11 o'clock advisory because I actually have to go to bed early tonight, and I will be up bright and early, so I'll have the 5 a.m. Sent out on Facebook and Twitter as well. But I kind of know what's going to happen at 11, and if you watch me, once I get the guidance, I kind of have a pretty good idea on what's going to happen with this storm as we get closer to some of these advisories, at least from the Hurricane Center standpoint. I'm not going to preach that I know where it's going all the way, but I kind of know where the forecast update is going to come in within a couple hours of the update. So there's our system, very well defined, borderline Category 5 storm right now. 150-mile-an-hour winds. Could go up to 155. That's actually in the forecast. So it's right there. Its threshold is really close. A couple things to notice tonight, and this is really what this video is going to be about. What are we looking for? Are we going to see that shift further east? Well, one of the things I'm watching for is how slow is it getting? It's starting to slow down. If you watch carefully, it is not moving west nearly as quickly. It is moving almost due west, I would say, because here's your latitude lines right here, and you can see it's pretty much been right there, but it does look slower. I expect it to stall somewhere right around here. But here's the thing to watch. Every little nudge north it gets, and the slower it gets earlier, the better, because that means it'll take this churn sooner than later. And the reason I'm saying that is right now it's being blocked by this ridge of high pressure to the north, which is keeping it on that westerly track, but it's also going to slow it down because it's going to get over here and not have anywhere to go. So the sooner that this starts moving north, the better, which means it can take this churn sooner than later. We want a churn in there and not a churn over here, which will hammer Florida and then all of the southeast. The problem with this is timing out this trough, which is going to come down. This trough is going to come down over the eastern part of the country. This ridge is going to build back this way, and it's going to induce this movement to the northeast. The thing about difficulty of this is it's three moving parts that you're trying to forecast. I guess the only good thing is that we have pretty consistent data now that's been given us, that this is going to happen. And I'm not just saying normal data. We've got hurricane hunters out there every 6 hours. We've had upper air missions flying over here. We've got extra upper air soundings going off here. So we've got a lot of data going into our models, more than we normally would for just about any situation. So let me show you the latest models. They just came in. Yeah, these are the early ones. I'm going to take out the late ones just so you can see them. So a couple things to notice on these, and you can't read into one line. I look at the average of them. So one of the things I've noticed is the spread off the east coast of Florida is bigger from here to here. They were pretty tightly clustered here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That means some of the models are hinting at an earlier churn. And they're struggling with it. So the fact that some models want to churn it here, a whole bunch here, and really the majority of them are right in here, should tell you that there's some indication that it might make the churn earlier. And notice how they're split here. You want to see what I was talking about just a second ago about that northern and slower movement is you want to see these lines be the ones it takes, not the southern ones. But you notice all these dots, those are 6-hour increments. Or 12-hour increments, excuse me. So 12 to 24 hour, depending on the model. I have to look at some of these. Some of these might be 6 and 12. But basically that means it's sitting there for a long period of time when you see a lot of dots. The other thing I noticed, these are very tightly clustered now off the Carolina coast. Very tightly clustered. And there's a nice little buffer there. I wish it was more, but the majority of the models do not show landfall. And just to give you an idea how far that actually is, I can pull out my measuring tool. So if I'm going to draw this basically from the coast to the mean. That's about 50 miles. Up here, that's about 50 miles. Outer Banks to that line there is about 30 miles. So just for perspective, so Charleston, if I put one over Charleston, the mean, which is right in the middle, it's about 60 miles. So those miles, every mile east it gets, the better for impacts, because if the hurricane force winds go out, let's say 40 or 50 miles, you want those offshore. Hurricane force winds are going to do the most damage, push the most water. And here's the thing, regardless of what any of these tracks, even if it takes this track, water is going to get pushed up against the coast. This is just the nature of the southeast coast of the United States. Because it's shaped the way it is, it's like a giant funnel. Look at this thing. Water gets pushed this way. It has nowhere to go but pile up against the coast. So even if this thing churns, there's going to be a bunch of storm surge. So that's why if you're in a low-lying area, the track almost isn't going to matter as much because the surge numbers are going to be huge, I think, regardless of what happens. So that's really the pattern we got to watch. And just to give you an idea, I showed this earlier. The red dots on here, this is the consensus track. So, and this does include tonight's run. And one interesting note here, the consensus tracks actually initialize on the southern eye wall. Not a big deal, but that means the center is just a hair north. It might be splitting hairs, but I'd much rather have it in this setup. We want the eye to be traveling north of the track, which means it has a chance to take that turn sooner than later. And just to show you up here over the Carolinas, a couple things to notice. This is Thursday morning. This is Friday morning. And this is, or excuse me, Thursday night. And this is Friday morning. You notice that the consensus track is pretty much right in line with the hurricane center until here. It's actually a little bit further offshore. So the hurricane center forecast is a little bit closer. And the other thing you notice, the consensus track, it's weaker. It shows a Cat 1 to a tropical storm as it gets close to North Carolina. So, I mean, I guess it's wishful thinking, but I can show you the intensity forecast. After it peaks at a 5 or high end 4 here, all of them do trend down over time. The problem is the spread is from like high end 3 to tropical depression, with the mean being a Cat 1. So that's in 5 days from now. So as it approaches the Carolinas, it's likely going to be a Category 1 or 2, weakening to a tropical storm based on what we're seeing there. So tonight, the big story is watching and waiting. There's another view of the tracks just to show you how they're trending more offshore. You see, this is the great thing about the Carolinas. People always ask me, can it go west? Yes, anything could happen. There's no such thing as a 0% chance really in some of these cases. But the fact that not a single piece of guidance goes inland like this means the Western Carolinas are okay. And the fact that only 1 or 2 are near the coast is something you want to see. Now, if overnight tonight and early tomorrow, we start to see these start shifting back this way, we're going to have a bigger problem. And I think the key in all this, the key in this whole thing, folks, is this churn right here. Everything that's going to dictate what happens is going to be right here. Does it churn here or churn here? Now, that may seem like a lot of distance. That has huge ramifications downstream as it goes up here. And again, what you want to see tonight is you want to see this thing slow down sooner, get to the north, and if it slows down sooner, it's going to make that churn. Slowing down means it's getting out of the influence of that ridge and it's waiting for something to pick it up. So the sooner that happens, the better for churning out to sea. So this went a lot longer than I expected, but I did want to show you real quickly what was going on with this system because I think it's pretty important to get a quick update tonight before the 11 o'clock comes in. So don't be surprised if the 11 o'clock advisory keeps the intensity the same, but shifts just a hair east. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of change because the consensus track is essentially where it is. You might just see it 12 more hours into the future. So please get ready on the East Coast of Florida still. Make sure the Carolinas, you're starting to get prepared. Everybody in here still needs to be ready for a hurricane. There's no all clears. There's no we're okay. None of that's happening. You need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's the only way to prepare for these type of things. So hope that helps tonight. I will post a vlog tomorrow morning right around the 11 a.m. advisory, but you will not see anything else from me tonight because I got to sleep. I'm running a 10K at 7 o'clock in the morning. Have a great night, everybody.